I was thinking this morning about generosity and what it means actually to be generous. And then as I was sort of thinking, like, what do I want to talk about when I go on my Facebook Live? And what is it I really want to say about generosity? And then I flashed to a coaching call I had this morning where the idea or the experience of luxury came up. And it was something that the, the woman that I was speaking to was talking about in her own life, but it's also something that came up for me around like this desire that to feel luxurious, or the phrase that actually came up, and I hesitate a little bit around it, was a life of luxury. And maybe I'll talk more about that in another Facebook Live, but it was something about like, what is generosity and how does that relate to this feeling of luxury? And so the story that I want to tell around generosity is specifically around like emotional and relational and energetic generosity. And it was about it was a lover of mine, and he and I were together, and it was after a really long day. And I had been teaching all day, and he had been teaching all day, and frankly, we were both just exhausted and just had given a lot. Like we had been generous in another way. And then we were going to go out for dinner, and it was already, it was late. It was this full day of teaching. I was just feeling like exhausted in a certain way, but I also get kind of energized from teaching. So it's both, but it's a little like, whoa. And I went to get changed out of the clothes I'd been in teaching, and it wasn't like fully conscious, but basically it was this conscious decision between sort of like putting on just these warm, cozy sweats and a big sweater and like just kind of doing that, or like this little bit sexy dress and boots that I had. And, on one level, you could say like, oh, I knew that he would like the sexy dress and the boots, like I was doing it quote unquote for him. But there was also, when I contemplated that, it wasn't just like, oh, I'd be doing it for him, and that it was actually an imposition on me to put that on, but it was like this little resistance, like, oh, that would be so obviously for him. And I actually caught myself. I have enough self-awareness. I slowed down enough. I'd been teaching all day, so I had sort of like that eye on myself. But I had enough awareness that I was like, what in the world would be so wrong with doing something for somebody because I know they're gonna like it? Like, what? In what realm is that shameful? In what realm is this idea of just giving generously shameful? And certainly, there's like tons of history of women self-sacrificing for men, and I don't really want to get into that right now. I believe that that's true. I believe it's something for us to, as a culture and as women, really have an eye on. I believe our care for ourselves is incredibly valuable, totally important baseline for relationship. And that wasn't what that was for me in that moment. It was actually like that I would somehow obviously be giving him a gift, and that was embarrassing. That he would know that I wanted to give it to him, and that it's like obviously loving him. And so from that place, the choice was different. And I still, like, I put on tights, I put on leg warmers so I could be cozy. I wore the boots, I wore the sexy dress. I had like a jacket I put on over it. But it changed, and this is where I want to connect generosity and luxury, which is that in one sense, I was being generous to him, right? I was giving him something. But in another sense, I actually got to have the experience I wanted, which was that us going out to dinner wasn't just like, mwah, mwah, we're so tired and teaching, can we just like get some food in our face and go to bed? I actually wanted to feel the energy between us. And so I could be generous by bringing it first. I don't know what would have happened if I'd worn the sweats. Maybe he would have brought it. I don't know, but it doesn't matter. And the luxury part is that I actually have the luxury of doing that. In a whole bunch of realms, right? Like there's so much kind of privilege and luxury in my life, but specifically in the realm of generosity is that I have the luxury to be generous and know that whether it's met in the way that I want it to be met or not, I'm okay. I give myself enough self-care. I surround myself with support. I have worked incredibly hard on my own, self-love, sense of worth, wholeness in a way that's not separate, that I can give generously in that way and know that I'm okay. And that's a luxury. And if you have that luxury, and I think many of us do, even if it's a little scary, is then there's the willingness to be generous and actually give. And so again, like I got what I wanted out of that experience. We went out and it felt like I could feel his energy and his attention, like, oh, this. And then to be able to sit and we sat side by side instead of across from each other in the restaurant, and to like be able to have his hand on my leg with my tights instead of my sweats. And like I then got what I wanted, which was also luxurious. So, lest any of you say I am trying to say that women should always get dressed up for their man or never wear sweats or it's our job, I'm not saying any of those things, but I am speaking to being conscious of how we can be generous, energetically, relationally, and just be able to actually have the luxury of giving to the people we love in the way that we know they would love to be given to. And that's generosity. Thanks.